In this episode, it's more gas tank sending unit for Project Low Fairmont and cleaning everything. Welcome back, faithful subscribers, or if it's your first time, my name's Grant Tommy. This is my channel, Straight Six Fan, where I like to focus on budget-minded, relatable, creative builds, a little something I like to call offbeat hot rodding. And today, I gotta be honest, I think it's gonna be a day of miscellany. I don't know exactly all that I'm gonna do or what I'm gonna do. I have an idea. Truth be told, yesterday I had a home improvement project, and so that was kind of physically taxing. And so I don't have near the energy I normally do to get working out here in the garage today. So, but I'll tell you what I believe will be on docket, and that is we are going to resistance test the sending unit out of the fuel tank. That was something I was hoping to have gotten done over the course of the last week, just on some weeknight, but really didn't have the time. From there, I will show you better shots of the new 2015 Ford Ecoboost Mustang, and I need to do some cleaning under the hood on that. So those two things are my primary focus, and then if there's enough time down over there, maybe start taking apart some stuff on the new 8.8 rear end axle. But hey, let's get to work. Alright, so if you missed it last week, we did drop the fuel tank here on Project Low Fairmont, and I mentioned how the sending unit is sort of a twist-on kind of gas cap type thing, and or this flanges, and I mentioned I used a screwdriver to pry it loose. Now, someone mentioned that was actually a poor idea because I could throw sparks, and if I throw sparks, you know, we're potentially around gas vapors. So what I've done is I've cut out this quarter round trim mold, which is what I will be using this go around. Other solutions are a brass punch. I just don't happen to have one at the moment. So anyway, you're just looking for something that's not going to be a steel on steel setup. So anyway, we are going to remove the sending unit and take it over to the workbench. Okay, so when I say workbench, I actually mean the trunk of the Fairmont. Since I can't move this car out of its own way under its own power, we will be using it as my workbench. So here is the sending unit out. This is basically represents the empty position. So what you'll need is a multimeter, and we have it set to ohms because ohms measures resistance, and the reason we're measuring resistance is because your sending unit is basically a giant resistor. So it's basically, so when it's full, it's sending a full current to the gauge, and then as it moves and goes down towards empty, it is providing more and more resistance to the current, which in essence drops your needle. So anyway, I'm probably not smart enough to know whether or not one terminal represents one thing versus the other. And so now we will move it over here to what's considered full. Okay, so as you can see, as it turned out, the float appears to be working. It is, you know, more resistance as the unit indicates empty, and less resistance as it indicates full. Now, I'll say this. A little embarrassed to admit it, but you know, the brass float does actually have a crack in it, and while I just quickly last week visually inspected it, I didn't do it thoroughly. It looked fine to me, but I saw a hairline crack in it as I was doing the test at the multimeter. That's okay. A multimeter is a tool I needed in my repertoire, and I guess now you guys know, should you have a problem with your fuel gauge reading, that's one way to check. Now you can also check that sometimes there can be issues with the wiring, you know, that leads between the fuel gauge and the fuel sending unit, but at least for me, I guess it appears now all I need to do is order a new brass float for it. So I guess the rest of today I will be cleaning this thing up because it looks like it needs a good cleaning anyway. So it cleaned up pretty nice. I think what I'm going to do now, though, is submerge this in like a dish of vinegar to get some of the places I couldn't get to, or like here, I didn't really want to mess with the wire coiled around. Figured they had good enough connections as it was, so I didn't really want to interrupt that and cause another variable. And then just like hard to reach like crannies like in here. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's cleaned up pretty nice. It was either on Four Eyed Pride forum or the Facebook group I'm in for Fairmonts and Zephyrs, but there's obviously a kit that I know it comes with the new brass float, and then it seemed like there's a second part, and I don't know what that was. Hopefully it's this little, I think this is a rubber seal, because it's got some cracks on it. So it'd be kind of nice to replace whatever this is. But anyway, this is awesome. Okay, so slight change of plans. I just got to looking at this tank, and since, you know, I cleaned it off a little bit last week, I was inspired by old Mr. Mach 1. He ironically had a fuel tank, Ford Fairmont fuel tank video upload last week too. And he was coating the top side of his tank. And I think that's going to be a good idea. I'm going to at least do this area right in here, because, you know, if you recall from my video last week, there's a lot of stuff that got caught up there. And so I just want to, you know, kind of, while it's out, I just as well make it better and be able to last longer as much as I can. And then on the bottom side, I do think I'm going to paint, maybe find some foam or something to go where the straps, to cover where the straps, because, you know, you got metal on metal there, and so that'll help both of those two items, you know, isolate them from one another, and hopefully hold up a little longer. So I figured this is the perfect segue before we start cleaning up the engine bay on the Mustang. I bought some of this Zep heavy-duty citrus degreaser. You know, it's more of like for commercial kitchen type stainless steel, but I'm going to use that to get this cleaned off the rest of the way. Okay, so one last, maybe stupid question to ask you guys, but if this is steel and it's 40 years old and it still has its silver color to it, doesn't that almost have to make it galvanized? Otherwise it'd be corroded by now. It's obviously not an uncoated steel tank, so leave a comment down below. Obviously if it is galvanized, normal primer isn't going to stick to it. I'd need a special etcher, so I may punt on the coating of the or painting of the fuel tank after all. Okay, so there, the gas tank is all cleaned up on the top side. Now it's time to clean this gal. There, 2015 Ford EcoBoost Mustang, like I promised you guys. If you didn't catch the last, I don't know, we'll call it the trailer episode. I'll leave a link up in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. But yeah, we part of the negotiation of buying this was it was pretty dirty when we drove it, interior, exterior, and engine bay. So they cleaned it up nice for us, interior and exterior, but didn't do the engine bay. So let's go take a look at that. Okay, so I didn't finish the negotiation story. Basically, the offer we put in, which we felt was fair market value, was don't clean it at all and give it to us for X amount of dollars, or for another, we'd pay them another $275, which we felt was going to be overpaying for the car, as long as they got it professionally detailed. So we were expecting an interior, exterior motor, and that's what I told the guy. Well, they wound up taking our original lower offer, and they cleaned themselves the exterior and interior. So that leaves us with detailing the motor. So as I was spraying down the passenger side, it dawned on me I never disconnected the battery, which I would highly recommend. Now, hopefully, I mean, obviously all these connectors are meant, again, you run it through a car wash and it's going to shoot water up from the underside. At a high pressure level. Like, these fittings and electrical connectors are designed to take on water, or like, you know, be watertight, but just to be safe, you know, things are rattling loose or getting loose. Hopefully I didn't short anything out, but anyway, I stopped with the water. For the engine cover, I'm just going to take it off and clean it by hand off to the side. The only thing I have left before I do that is just wiping down all the little plastic pieces with some Armor All wipes. This is no professional job by any means, and I feel really stupid for forgetting the disconnecting the battery, but it's so much better than what it was. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. If you're wondering if the vinegar trick worked, as you can see, I don't have a perfect bowl to set this in, so you can see here where it sat like so in the bowl. So it works, guys, it works. Well, that does it for this episode. I did take the Mustang out for a spin. No electrical gremlins at the moment, so I think we're fine there. But it feels really good to just know that it's just a float for the sending unit. But that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. There is kind of a mixed bag there in this episode, but if you want to support my channel in other ways, you can grab a straight 6-fan Pistons tee. There's a link in the description below to my Spreadshirt store. I also have a second design dedicated to the Slant 6, another straight 6, infamous straight 6. So you can pick up one of those if you prefer that. Go check out both of them. Just pick one up, please. No. Anyway, yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, share. I don't really care which one you do, as long as you do one. Until next time, peace out.